So as I said I was going to do, this is a video on NT love, and this was inspired by a question by L. Petter. So, he was asking about the combination of INTJ and ENTP, and said that this combination is very interesting to see. Intellectually, you seem very compatible, and I think you have lots of fun, but I wonder about the emotional support. Do you or your husband think that that's an issue in your relationship? Would you like to answer, or should I?
I thought we were both going to.
Okay. Well, I would say that I actually feel very supported in our relationship. There are things that... Whoops! Hi! That we have difficulty with. Hey, she's mine too.
Here we know.
There are things that we have difficulty with in our relationship, and like certain things, like differences on views on compliments and stuff like that. But anytime
Learned with some difficulty to appreciate the fact that she should never ask me a question unless she wants an honest answer.
Well, I wasn't too bad with that at the beginning.
No, you were
anyway.
pretty good. That was something you
No, that was
appreciated
not-
fairly quickly.
Yeah. No, and I think...
However, it has come up occasionally.
Yeah, but usually I'm pretty specific. I want you to gloss.
But I don't.
But the thing is that, like, we've actually been through a lot together. Our relationship is fairly challenging. When we first got together, my husband became chronically ill almost right away. And at the time, I was pregnant with twins, which was very frightening because suddenly we didn't know what we were going to do. And one of the things that I really thought is that emotionally, we were actually able to connect better than I have with any other relationship. Our dog, an example was, our dog was hit by a truck outside in our front yard. And we were rushing to the vet, and like I was trying to figure out where to take the dog to the vet to have the dog actually survive the accident. And this...
She did.
She did. Yeah, you saw her in the last video, right? She's fine now.
She's over there wagging her tail at us. She knows we're talking about her.
But the thing is, I go in and I'm trying to figure out how much money it's going to cost, whether or not we can afford it, and whether we should go to another vet that is more affordable, but also more sympathetic or whatever. And I'm just trying to deal with all the... everything that was going on that we were going to have to know in order to have the dog survive, while the dog was bleeding out on my husband's lap in the car. And when I got back in the car, one of the things that he said to me was that he was really grateful that I could just do that. That I could keep my head in that situation and just get everything done so that he didn't have to do everything. And I remember a prior relationship that I'd been in where I'd been accused, I'd done something similar but under slightly different circumstances. And I was accused of being so heartless. And the thing is, I actually feel very appreciated because we get each other's emotional context. I don't think he's heartless. He doesn't think I'm heartless. We don't walk around accusing each other of being heartless. But I think both of us have had that in other relationships quite a bit, haven't we? Have you had that? Where...
Called heartless?
Maybe not heartless, but where people didn't get you.
Not usually when I'm in a relationship with somebody. However, people who don't know me well certainly tend to have accused me of that.
Yeah. But I don't... Like, that's actually one of the things that really frustrates me, is that people make assumptions that are not true. And that is very, very frustrating. And one of the nice things about being in a relationship with an NT is that we're not making those assumptions of one another. And so we actually support each other. You know, and he knows that I get very anxious when my mother is coming to visit. He noticed that, you know, all the mayhem that ensues around that. And...
Suddenly she's forgetting to close all of the cupboard doors. You could take a stop-motion film of our kitchen and you'd be able to tell Even if she never showed up in any of the pictures, you'd be able to tell when my mother-in-law was coming. Because suddenly all of the doors would be open. And then she'd go away and all the doors would be closed again.
But the thing is, he notices that and he pays attention to it, and he says, "Hey, you know what? Is your mom? Is your mom coming to visit?"
And an example, like at one point, Sam was really not getting along with her mom, and she still wanted her mom to, have access to the kids and stuff, and so I would step in and like talk to her mom on the phone and stuff, and try and comfort her mother, and I was off the phone often try and comfort her about it too, and that's actually gone the other way too, because I was fighting with my mother and Sam dealt with her, right? And the thing is that a lot of people would look at that as, it being cold, but really it's not, right? Like, you're really caring for your partner when you do stuff like that, right?
So, I definitely, and I've looked at my friends and their relationships, and I do, like, one of the things that I always said about John, even when he was really sick, is that, like, at times when I couldn't necessarily count on him financially or count on him in a logistic way, like he wasn't, like there was a time when he was actually bedridden. The thing is, I could still go and talk to him about my challenges and how worried I was or what was going on. And we could always, that being able to connect on an intellectual level actually really allowed us to connect on an emotional level too. And that was very positive. It's kind of nice. I think we have a good relationship. It's hard sometimes. We've been together for a long time, so certainly there's been lots of challenges, but I think
5
we're
kids,
really
I'm
happy.
sick, I have a dog, so.
Yeah, I think we're really like I don't think that either one of us wishes we were with some other type of personality. Well, maybe sometimes you wish you were with an introverted person. And sometimes I wish I was with an extroverted.
No.
I know.
I have to admit there are some things that I'm typist about, but the E versus I is not one of them. Each of them has their advantages, and the thing is that that's the way the world is. So getting upset about it is not really helpful. Even if you prove that I is better than E or E is better than I. Does that really help to anything? Because you're not, it's not like you're going to magically make people introverts into extroverts or extroverts into introverts. So.
Yeah. Okay, so then we had, do you enjoy the same things was a question that was asked. And
There are overlap. There are also definitely things that each of us enjoys that the other doesn't.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I find, even when we don't enjoy things that the other enjoys, like I actually enjoy going, obviously I'm more into the MBTI than my husband is. But while he may not be interested enough to go and investigate anything to do with it, I think both of us have personality types that allow us to be at least curious enough to discuss just about everything. So, there's things that my husband's into that, I would never really be into. But I'm into it enough to sit and discuss and debate, or to, if he's, one of the things, he leads a guild on DDO, right, on Dungeons and Dragons Online. And, I don't know, there's some gaming that I have been into, but it's not enough that I would go into it again, particularly. Like, I wouldn't start up a new game now. But the thing is, he talks to me about the things that are going on in his guild, or a new build that he has, or whatever. And, I actually pay enough attention so that next time I know what's going on.
For anyone who doesn't know, a build is how you design your character, how you make your character.
I know the lingo, see? Anyway. But the thing is, he does the same thing. So when I'm you know, if I'm talking about something like one of the questions or something that's going on with whatever I'm interested in, you know, he sits and he listens. If I, but it's not just listening. Like, it's actually like being interested enough to talk about it and to give me ideas, feedback, and I do the same for him. So that's great. Okay.
While I bug her, because, you know, she does talk more than I do, it is a dialogue, not just a monologue.
Shh. No. The INTJs are the evil geniuses that go on and 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 on.
Manipulate things from behind the scenes. Can you get that?
Okay, so then we had so there were. Oh, okay, so now we get into the difficult ones. Which ones do you want to do, John? Pick one.
Start at the top and go to the bottom.
Okay, so Patrick asked a question. Do NTs ever get judgmental? Not necessarily in a relationship, just in general. Like, what if a person is living in a completely irrational... Ooh, sorry. Oh, wait, she should probably have a toy. An irrational, illogical existence. Do you see that? Do you want to...
Yeah, okay, so where was it?
Irrational, illogical existence right here somewhere. There.
Does that ever bother an NT? Do you avoid people who are illogical, or does your NT-ness allow you to roll with it and not get bothered about other people's choices? I guess I'm fumbling around trying to ask, what pushes an NT buttons? Do you guys have pushable buttons? I think that's actually kind of interesting, because it makes me think. There's a buddy of mine online, and he's really not the same kind of person as I am. He talks about being very superstitious, and I am like hyper rational, and he talks about like being very superstitious about numbers, for example. He avoids anything to do with the number 13 or the number 666, right? And the thing is that I do not respect that. However, it doesn't mean that I can't treat him with respect. I actually really like the guy, and we get along really, really well. If that was somehow interfering with me, then yes, that would push my buttons. If he was getting up in my face and saying, I should be like that, and that makes sense, and that's what I should be like, or everybody should be like that, then that would push my buttons, and that would piss me off, and I would argue against it, and that would cause problems. But seeing him do that in his own life, whatever.
I would say that I see it. I think that an NT, at least for me, I'm really good at, this is actually kind of the problem I think that other people have with NTs, is how good we are at compartmentalizing. Because, I often actually really like somebody and completely dislike what they think. And not even dislike, but wholly disagree, but it doesn't necessarily interfere with me liking that person. I might have a full-on debate that I feel like is just a theoretical discussion of what the world is like, and other people hold on to that and they feel like I'm arguing against their person rather than their beliefs. And I think that's a very big distinction for both of us, right? Whereas I think not everybody else makes that distinction between the person and the opinions they hold, right? And that's a key thing. But I think that there are buttons that NTs feel like are pushed. And basically, I think the big thing that really pushes my buttons is when people are unwilling to listen with a critical eye to their own opinions. That is very, very irritating. If John challenges me on an opinion that I hold really, really dear, I might find it really, really frustrating that we don't agree. But I don't think I'm ever not able to be convinced on something so long as people actually back up what they think. Another thing that I personally find irritating, and I don't think it's as irritating to John, because I think this is a bit of an introvert-extrovert difference, maybe, is when somebody disagrees with me or knows that I am wrong and stays quiet about it. That I find, like, if you know for sure that I'm wrong, I want to know. I do understand that there are different ideas of right and wrong, that certainly some people hold beliefs, no matter how inaccurate they are, as being important, and that NTs tend to view accuracy as more important than belief. And we tend to see those two things as very distinct. But if I'm inaccurate, and I do want to know, and yes, the thing is, I think NTs are very much the minority in the world, and so the way that we think is often made illegitimate by other people. Like as if how we are is so harsh and cruel. The thing is that ultimately I see most NTs around me as actually being incredibly kind, decent people. Because what winds up happening is their beliefs tend to be thought about in terms of legitimacy. People who are NTs, whether they are religious, not religious, whatever beliefs they hold to, throughout a process of their lives, often rigorously verify what they believe with what works. Maybe that's kind of TE, but in a way I kind of do it myself. Like I have to constantly ask myself if, would I want this coming back? Ultimately, like karma. I hate the idea of karma because the karma can lead people to believe that when they see a bad thing happening to a person, that somehow they deserved it. That's what karma can mean for some people. And so unless people are going to put a nice little caveat on karma, that a bunch of things are actually accidental, what goes around comes around, I'm sorry, a lot of people do not deserve what comes to them. Anyway, so Tara was asking, since you both process differently, were there more differences or similarities because you share the same temperament? So because we're both NTs, with you being INTJ with NITE versus, like, are we more similar than different or more different than similar, would you say, compared to outside world?
I suppose probably more similar than the outside world, but there are certainly differences. Sam could never hide my keys on me by putting them where they go.
Stop it!
In fact, just today, my son accidentally hit a can opener by putting it where it goes.
Sort of. He didn't put it where he normally puts it, though, and even he admitted to that. But it was a white can opener on a white background, and my eyes just slid right over it. Shh. Stop it! Stop it!